We were supposed to bring out our actual car that we have right now to us, but unfortunately Friday we went to go check on it and the trailer it's on is broken. The car itself is fine. The trailer has apparently suffered some problems and was unable to be used, and so we were kind of stuck. Yeah, it'd take me a little while, especially in that cold this morning, but yeah. No, this isn't the new one. This is the one we ran for the last couple of years that we're doing. My team's been together since we started in 2011. I was sitting right where you guys are. Actually, I got started because of my auto tech teacher. The very first time I ever joined my school, he caught me at the reception before school even started and goes, "Hey, you ever thought about putting together a solar car team?" We had not done this before. He was trying out something, and my naivete said, "Sure, yeah, that sounds like fun." Boy, little did I know what I'd be getting myself into. So that's how it started. Huge learning curve for everybody involved, including the instructors, especially the instructors over the years. My first team, like I said, we started 2011. Our very first race was 2012, and luckily it was a track race. I will always recommend that teams start track if you can. It is so much easier than trying to start if you're going to your first cross country, which is a whole nother beast, having been to several of them. But I can tell you, we've experienced the same learning curve. Those that have built cars or have not yet are looking to do your first one. Your biggest thing I can tell you is just to jump in both feet. You're not going to do anything of trying to hem and haw on it. You're going to have to jump in. And sometimes that means jumping in before you're ready, and sometimes that means jumping in before you have any money and before the kids are ready or anything else, right, Taylor? I actually have several of my former students that are now staff members of this race. We've been doing this so long, and they fell in love with it, much as I did. As you see, I've actually worked on staff myself this last year, as well as being an advisor before. Our very first car, though, that team literally had no money. Our very first year we ran, we had no support from our district. We had no support from our people. We scrounged and saved about $6,000, and we built a car with that. We did not have the money for a hotel. We did not have anything else, and we got lucky. We are here in North Texas. I am at Mansfield, just down south, about 35 minutes to 40 minutes down south of us, straight down 35. And we got lucky enough that we're just within that range that we could transport back and forth every day. It's not something I recommend to anybody, by the way. If you have the chance, raise enough money to stay at the hotels. That first year was difficult. It was difficult because we didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea what we were trying. We were scrounging and borrowing everything. Our first car was a donated Legend Racer chassis that had been sitting in a field after a wreck for about 3 years. It had a donated ATV front end suspension from the 1980s that was heavier than I think the rest of the car put together. We figured out we got these panels just because they look good. Enough that we could afford them. Literally, we built a car that, I wish I had a better picture than this one. You can kind of see it there. It was our first team, first year. The car we always described back then was Mad Max meets Al Gore. It really was. It was stripped down, had no body panels, had one panel on the door so we could have a few stickers on it because it was required by the race. Everything else was bare metal. It was rusty. It was a tank. The thing weighed, I think, close to 1,600 pounds. It was a tank. But it ran. And it got through it. And we did that. With the $6,000, we got the car built, made it up, and we made 6th place that year in the Classic Division. Not bad for a rookie team. We've had some really good rookie teams come in. I was happy to say I was very proud of my guys for doing that, especially since the learning curve on it was tough as ever. But the thing is, when you jump in, you do learn. I'm going to skip to my next one for me. You learn, and you learn quick, because there's not really other choice. Being around this race is one of the best things to be, because these guys will help you with it. We're all here together. There is not a single team that, while we may be competing, is actually against you. I have seen more teams work on each other's cars over the years than sometimes I've seen their own people do. If there's ever a problem or race, all you have to do is ask. I'm actually now very much close friends with several of the other coaches. We exchange ideas. There's no real secrets. It's more about, cool, what can you get? What can we do with this? This is neat. And we try to share that with our kids, that same spirit. The second year car was our very first cross-country race. That was our first time we got to go to California. It was back in 2013. And you can see it's quite a bit of improvement. It's still the same chassis. We got lucky. That chassis was chromoly steel, and you don't give up chromoly easily. Chromoly's great. But we learned something. We went back and cut out about 3/4 of that car. It weighed a ton less this time, because we cut out most of the steel that was causing all the extras. We made sure to leave the roll bars and all the support stuff for the structure and for the safety, but we cut out a lot. And then we got a lot better about designing and building. The very first year's car, I'll tell you this, I built that with kids that were all 15 years old, freshmen and sophomores in my classes. We actually had to recruit drivers, which is how Taylor got on the team. That summer, we came to the very first car. We came up to that summer. I had no kids that could drive the car. I literally started calling almost every senior I had a number on and praying to God they had an opening. And I got Taylor, and I got Christian, and I got Samantha, and I got Vivian. I got those four. They came in during the summer, little knowing what they were involved for, right, Taylor? But Taylor jumped in. He loved it at that point. You got bit by the bug hard.
Multiple times.
Uh-huh. And the next year, funny enough, I'll crow on a little bit. That front end and everything else was actually all his design, him and Christian. That beautiful desert racer look. Our team's always liked a little bit more classic style look. We don't like that. That's why we're called the Shine Runners. It's kind of an homage back to the early racing days in NASCAR when they were running moonshine. But we do sunshine, right? Only sun. But we like that classic car look. So we always try to base most of our cars on something a little older. Not that college body and everything else. You don't have to stick with that. The tech is still the same tech. It's just a matter of how you apply it. This car here weighed predominantly less. It was closer to 1,200 pounds, I think, if I remember right, between 12 and 1,300. And a lot easier running. We actually understood more about what we were doing with our gearing. We understood more about our panels and power. It was such a nicer run. The big change now was learning how to do a cross-country race. They are beasts, if you've ever been on one. And I highly encourage you. It is an adventure like no other. That was the race that nearly broke me. Second year in, that was the race that nearly broke me. Going through LA was the day that nearly broke me. There's a reason the last time we did California, we didn't go to LA. But you'll never get closer to your kids. Take the next picture here. That crew that was with me that first and second year going through this, that's not the picture I was looking for. I think we misordered them. Did we skip one on accident there? There it is. Thank you. That was also in the California race. This picture got taken because we didn't have much choice. We had to sun up the car. Our car could go for, how long was that one? I think we could barely make barely an hour on the road. We could barely make about an hour, and we'd have to stop and sun up for close to an hour and a half or so to get back on with a full charge. So we were doing a lot of go and stop, and we happened to have one of our break points right at the border when we were crossing into, I believe that was New Mexico at that point. We were crossing back into it again on our way to, we were coming back into it, we were leaving it to go to Mexico, to go back to El Paso that next point. That fun little jog through that section. And so we had a neat opportunity to take this picture. What I think is cool is most of these kids, the guys with me during this, stuck with me 4 years. I had that team 4 to 5 years on that crew, some of which even started around that point. We're still having some trace of that. But several of these guys here have since come on to be part of the race staff. I could actually name about probably, 7 of you guys out of that one?
I was just doing the math. Yeah,
I think it's you, Christian, Evan, Christian, Simon, yeah, can't forget Simon. Eric has been on it, yeah. So you really do get to get bit by the bug, as they say on here. Go forward now. The next few years, like I said, we've gotten better. Every year seems to be a different challenge that you're learning about something. The first years, you're just starting to learn everything you can and apply it. Your next few years, or like I said, our beast that time was conquering a cross country. The next ones, just jumping, there we go. Like I said, we redesigned the car again. I know they're all blue. They all look kind of similar. That's our school colors. We try to stick with it. This one was actually based on a Lakester racer back from the 1950s. They were the ones that raced out in the desert. You can see that front end cone And this was actually the second iteration of this car. This is the second year we ran it. Because the first year we ran it, it looked like a bug. We didn't pull a picture up of that one, but it has a front sloped-in nose that makes it look like this beetle. Real bad. And so we ran that car for 2 years. We actually run most of our cars 2 years. We try to start building on the second year a new car. And we were always trying to build one. And I would always recommend to any person, if you can do this on your sponsors, the kids get more out of building a car than they'll ever do by just running one. You will learn more, you'll teach more, they get more out of it, they make it their own. We have several teams that have run the same car year after year, and that's great for them, more power to them. But I, as a coach, will always say that they get the most out of being able to build a new car. Now, that doesn't mean every year. For a while there, I was redesigning or building a car every year, and that's insane. I would not recommend that to anybody. But I'd say a 2 to 3 year schedule is a very appropriate time frame because you have those kids, and they take ownership. And it's a wonderful thing to see them rise to that occasion. They know it's their car, they know it's their challenge, and they're planning for their races. It's not my car. It never has been. I learned, and I had to learn at the beginning because my first one I was on it, hands-on. I had to learn to be able to keep my hands in my pockets, which is the hardest thing to do as a teacher, honestly, on this project alone, because you think it's as cool as they do, and you want to get part of it. But I had to learn to back off, and I let them do it and learn to truly be a facilitator, because this all corresponds with some of my first years of teaching, going through this as well. That car there was we did the hybrid race with, to Houston and here at the track for 2 times. You go on to our last one here. We'll talk about that one there. Thank you, Michael. All right, and then this is the most recent one we've been playing with. We've done this for 2 years. We have had 1 year when we went to Minnesota, our panels decided they weren't going to work the way they were supposed to. That cost us that race. Sorry, Michael, I'm moving around a lot, and I know you have to reposition the camera every time I do. I thought about running really fast just to mess with them. You gave me the lapel, not the hand. I move and I gesture. It's what happens. But on this car here, so this one was kind of fun. The last one had the panel problems. This one here we ran to Minnesota and we had a flatter panel. This is from the last year we raced it on this configuration. So first year we had this car, we had the wrong panels on it, and we came in second on the cross country to Minnesota. I still say I would have taken Greenville if we hadn't had panel problems. But they run a great car and a great team. They really do. And it's worthy there. And I count their coaches as one of my good friends. So if you got to lose to somebody, at least as a friend, right? Yeah. This year, this picture here is from our second year running that car. This is at the track. And what's fun about this point is, like I said, the first year we had this car, it was all about the panels going wrong. The second year, we had the fun time of having our motor blow about 10 laps into the first day. We have been one of the few teams to try a transmission, so continuous variable transmission, which worked really well on our trip up to Minnesota. Like I said, it was our panels that were holding us back, not our transmission. That actually worked really well cross country. We liked it. Other teams have issues on that one, or they say things about us behind our back about that one. Looking at you, Jarrett. But everybody's got their own style. We're all trying different things. There's nothing bad with it. This one, though, when we got up this one, like I said, we blew the motor 10 laps in. I literally get a call on the radio going, I'm seeing smoke. Really, how bad? I can't see in front of me. White smoke. At that point, you're sitting there just yelling, get out of the car, bank it, get out of the car. And it turned out, so we had redone our motor mount for our transmission. The first year we ran an adapter. We got really slick. We came up with an adapter and made it all work. The second year we thought, we're getting good at this now. So we decided to take apart the motor and retool our own shaft for the middle of it and put it all back together. Yeah, we're a little ambitious, okay? That came back to bite us. It turned out one of the snap pins that we'd put that holds the whole magnets apart on there, because we had worked it in and out to fix this thing, it gave 10 laps into the first round. And that slammed our motor all together. These are brushless motors. They are basically big, giant spinning magnets. And, of course, it's still trying to spin, and it's now stuck to its metal. And we found out that was what happened. Now, the thing I'll say, and I've seen this time and time again in these races, and I think it's really cool, is that no matter what obstacle, if you have the right team and the right kids there, they'll try to overcome it. This is one story out of many. It's just because it's the most recent. But that team 10 laps in the first day of racing, instead of packing it up going home, we did not have a backup motor. We did not have a backup axle that would work with our setup. What we had to do is half the team started stripping out what was there and reconfiguring the system so that we could run without our transmission, literally going back to just basic gearing. The other half of the team immediately started scrounging. We went back and found 3 old motors from our, we got lucky, I said, we're lucky to be close enough. We ran back to our campus, found 3 old dead motors, and we built what we dubbed Shimming's Monster. Shimming was one of my team captains at the time, and he's the one that primarily put this together. It really was Frankenstein's monster of motors. 3 dead ones cobbled together into a working motor, and we did that in under a day. I could not be more proud of those kids. That was probably better than even a first place trophy, is to see that car get back out on that track. And I'll tell you this, coaches and kids, that's what you need to try to get out of this, is that tenacity to finish the project. The fact that we had no end of help from other teams trying to come by and help us, that they gave us parts, they helped us supply different things. Everybody was immediately scrambling. In fact, one of the other teams even ordered us a new motor from across there. It just wouldn't be there for a couple of days, and we wanted to get racing. That's the level you're going to have to be running at. And what's cool is that everybody's trying to get there together. I want to see that from every team in here. We love new teams coming into this race. It's not that I'm against you, it's that I want to compete with you. And there's a vast difference between that with our teams. Okay? But I want you guys to all be at that level where you can learn and go. And it won't happen the first year, it won't happen the second year. The trick is to be tenacious about it, and no matter what problem arises on the road or on the track or anything else, that you rise to it. Does that sound good? Pretty good for not having notes, huh? I will warn you right now, though, Doc is tenacious, and he likes to recruit us. Like, if you get with him too much, he infects you with this stuff. As I said, I've been doing this now, 8 years with you guys. I know I'm a youngie compared to some of you guys. They got me into the dark side last year. I actually worked staff for the first time. And I hate to say, I don't think they're going to let their claws out of me anytime soon. So run. I'm kidding. It's a great crew, both sides of it. It's a great environment, and I can't think of a better program that has actually gotten my kids to rise to the occasion more. I've run robotics, so I've run several other things over the time. This is one of the few programs I've seen that actively gets them to that next level as engineers. And I have multiple guys that have come back and state that this program is what got them into that. I have, Taylor and Christian, and all these, almost all the guys I'm naming are all engineers of some sort. Samantha, who was our first year, she'd never been in an engineering class for one class with me that senior semester, and then driving the car. And she is now graduated as, she's an aerospace engineer with the United States Air Force. In fact, she was his trainer when he went. She was his commander, which I thought was particularly ironic and poetic at the same time. So I'm no end of proud of the guys I've had underneath me and what they've accomplished, and I'm no end of proud of what I hopefully will see from the new teams coming up. Maybe not that one, but the rest of you. I'm teasing. I hope you all the best, and let's have some good races, okay? Thank you, guys. Yeah, you got a question?
With your program, is it with a class? Is there a class during the day,
Yeah.
or is it after school?
Our program started out after school only. In fact, it still has an after school component. Now, after we had gone back, so I told you the first year we had no money. We had no support from our district. We went and took that story of us going and getting sixth as a rookie team, and we went back, and I went from a team that was raising $6,000 to over $45,000 the next year. Part of that was we went back before our board and said, look what we did. Look what we did without you. Now think about what we could do with you and how much this is going to play up for you guys. And they jumped on board. They became a $20,000 sponsor. The superintendent himself jumped in on that one, actually. It helped to grow the team. The story sells the team. And what happened from that is after about 4 years of this, they finally decided they wanted a class with it too. And it became a class and a team function. So we still meet after school, so we have a good variety, and we teach them all the welding and all the stuff that needs to go into it. Right now, our class, basically, they put together the chassis. We all come together to figure out what we want to do with it design-wise. But then those guys that are enrolled in the class, they do the chassis, and then we come back and put all the support material on, the panels, the gears, suspension, all that stuff. And so it's a good balance of both if we can get it to work right. Now, there's been some hiccups here and there, but it seems to work out pretty well that we can divide time, and it helps us not take so long. So it'll happen as you want it to happen. Depends on how you push it. That one kind of came out organically. So any other questions? All right. Well, thank you guys again. Appreciate you letting me speak up here.